Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission's. We are conducting a hearing on the record in the matter of case number 9056 and 9064 relating to standard offer services and bill impacts relating to SOS bids made on January 13th, 2020. Mr. Spivak, would you like to identify yourself and for the record?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Lloyd Spivak for the Commission staff. Staff has two witnesses we'll be presenting this afternoon. Frank Mossberg of Bates White, the Commission's consultant for the SOS process, and David Hoppick for the Commission staff. The Commission staff calls Mr. Mossberg to the stand, please.
Great. If you could remain standing and be sworn in by our court reporter.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your full name.
Frank Mossberg. FRANKMOSSBURG.
Give me your business address, please.
2001 K Street, Suite 500, Washington, D.C. 20005.
Thank you very much. Your witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Mossberg.
Good afternoon.
Do you have in front of you a document captioned in case numbers 9056 and 9064 entitled Direct Testimony of Frank Mossberg, Bates White, LLC, on behalf of the staff of the Public Service Commission of Maryland and dated with today's date?
I do.
Does the document consist of 7 pages of question and answer testimony and 1 exhibit?
It does.
Did you prepare this document or was it prepared under your direct supervision?
I did prepare it.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or other corrections you would like to make at this time?
I do not.
And if the questions were asked of you today as they are asked in this document, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Do you adopt this document as part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Chairman, staff requests that Mr. Mossberg's testimony be marked as Staff Exhibit 1.
Mr. Rosberg's testimony will be marked as Exhibit 1 and entered into evidence.
Thank you. Mr. Mossberg, can you give us a brief summary of the contents of your testimony, please?
Certainly. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Yeah.
I'm Frank Mossberg from Bates White. We're the technical monitor for your 2019-20 Standard Offer Service RFP. We would recommend that you accept the results of this past Monday's bid day. This is the second bid day in your SOS RFP, and we say so for 4 reasons. First, the procurement was open, fair, and transparent. We were able to independently rank and confirm all bids and all winning bidders, and the winning bidders were selected solely on the basis of price. Second, prices were consistent with broader market conditions. There were no bids that were rejected due to the imposition of your price anomaly threshold, or PAT. Third, the procurement was competitive, and here I have a couple metrics. First, we had 8 total bidders. That compares to 6 this time last year. I'm comparing it to a year ago because we were soliciting a similar mix of products. Last October, we were looking at more residential supply, and that tends to bring out a larger turnout. Another competitive metric, we saw 4.2 megawatts bid for every megawatt needed. That's versus 3.65 megawatts bid for every megawatt needed last year. And we saw 7 winners out of those 8 bidders as compared to 2 last January, so a good selection of winners. So those are all healthy metrics. The final reason to accept is that all the rules of the RFP were properly enforced. In this, I will note that we did have one bidder who failed to submit an enforceable pre-bid collateral by the noon Monday due date. So rather unfortunately, we had to disqualify their bid, but those are the rules in the RFP, and they're very clear. With that, I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Great, thank you. Do commissioners have questions? Mr. Linton? No? Great. I just have one. I'm interested to know, you probably very well aware of the recent FERC capacity order. Will this have any impacts on future SOS proceedings, and are there things that we should be considering as a commission, if they will?
Sure. I believe it will at this point. The issue you have is starting in April for all 4 utilities. You are going to start soliciting power, at least according to the current bid plans, for a supply that will be delivered during times between June 22 or after June 2022. And at this point, PJM does not have a capacity price for that year. This is the what the debate between PJM and FERC is all about, their capacity market and the minimum offer price rule. So the issue with not having a capacity price is that it becomes very, very hard for a bidder to price their offers into your RFP. And we've seen something similar to this a few years ago with the capacity performance, when PJM went back and was going to retroactively change capacity prices. The effect there was a lot of bidders thought it was too risky to bid in these types of default service RFPs without a firm price for capacity. They just really couldn't make a bid. And the bidders that did bid often would put a pretty big risk premium in. So sort of, based on what I've seen in the past, absent no action, you might see a lot of bidders just simply not choose to bid in April, because it's just, without any sort of established capacity price for that year, it's just simply too risky for them.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mossberg. There are no other questions. Witness is excused.
Thank you.
Mr. Spivak.
Thank you. The commission staff calls David Hoppick to the stand, please.
Okay, if you can remain standing and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your full name.
David Hopper,
Spell your full name.
DAVIDHOPPOCK,
Please give me your business address.
6 St. Paul Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Thank you very much. Your witness.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Hoppick.
Good afternoon.
Do you have in front of you a document captioned in Commission Case Numbers 9056 and 9064, entitled the Commission Staff's Report on the Standard Offer Service Bidding Process and Results for 2020 through 2022, and dated with today's date?
I do.
Does the document consist of 11 pages of information regarding the just completed bidding in both text and table form?
It does.
Did you prepare this document, or was it prepared under your direct supervision?
I prepared it.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or other corrections you would like to make at this time?
I do not.
And do you adopt this document as part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
I do.
Staff requests that the staff report be marked as Staff Exhibit 2.
Mr. Hoppick's staff report is marked as Exhibit 2 and will be moved into evidence.
Thank you. Mr. Hoppick, can you give us a brief summary of the content of your report, please?
Certainly. Good afternoon. This report covers estimated bill impact for Type 2 customers for Delmarva Power and Light, Baltimore Gas and Electric, Potomac Electric Power Company, and Potomac Edison, resulting from the January 13th bid. Additionally, the report provides bill impacts for Potomac Edison residential and Type 1 customers. Please turn to page 2. So starting with the estimated average bill impact for Potomac Edison residential customers, this shows the estimated average annual bill impact comparing the period from June 2019 through May 2020 to June 2020 through May 2021. Estimated average bills are estimated to decrease approximately 0.9% on average. This translates to approximately a $13 decrease per year. And then the SOS supply portion of the bill will decrease approximately 1.8%. And the table shows a breakdown for customers with and without electric heat. Please turn to page 3. This provides the estimated bill impact for Type 1 Potomac Edison customers. Again, we're comparing the period from June 2019 through May 2020 to June 2020 through May 2021. The total estimated bill increases approximately 4.6%, and the SOS power portion of the bill estimated increase is about 9.7%. Please turn to page 4. So I will finish with estimated bill impacts for type 2 customers for all the investor-owned utilities. In this analysis, we are comparing the period from March to May 2020, so the forthcoming spring, to the prior spring period from March to May 2019. Additionally, we are comparing winter and spring SOS rates. So the bottom of the table provides a high-level summary across all the utilities. I will briefly go through each utility. Please turn to page 7. So this shows the estimated average type 2 bill impacts for Potomac Edison customers. So for the period from March through May 2020 relative to the same period a year prior, bills are estimated to decrease approximately 11 to 8%. And going from the current winter period to the forthcoming spring period, the SOS rates themselves are decreasing approximately 24%. Please turn to page 8 for Baltimore Gas and Electric Type 2 customers. Estimated average bills from the period March through May 2020 relative to the same period in 2019 are decreasing approximately 5 to 8%. And then winter SOS rates are to spring SOS rates, we're seeing a decrease of approximately 24 to 25%. Please turn to page 9 for Delmarva Power and Light Type 2 customers. Estimated bills for the period from March through May 2020 relative to the same period in 2019 are estimated to decrease approximately 13 to 16%. And the change in rates from the current winter SOS rates to the spring rates is approximately a 34 to 37% decrease. And then finally on page 10 for Potomac Electric Power Company Type 2 customers for the period from March through May 2020 relative to the same period in 2019, average bills are estimated to decrease approximately 11 to 12%, and supply rates for the current winter period relative to the forthcoming spring period are decreasing approximately 24%. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hopping. Do commissioners have questions? Seeing none, the witness is dismissed. Mr. Spivak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes staff's presentation this afternoon.
Very good, thank you. Does anyone else wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, we are adjourned.